So we wanted to do kind of like a tip of the week kind of thing. And I don't think either of us are like really experts at anything, but I think it's just like, what are these kinds of tiny things that we've kind of garnered from, like being in this
Our
business.
experiences. Yeah.
And so my first thing was like, I was like, oh, like Doug, how was your general? And he was just like, what is that? And I was just like, you've been here like taking general meetings for years.
Well, it's because I came from like an acting background, right? I didn't come from like a writing background, so I didn't know like what generals were, whatever was. Like,
everybody
this is
goes
like
to generals.
no, but like when you're an actor, you're just like, oh, I'm going to an audition or whatever. Yeah. Like generals, I think are more reserved for like creators and like and literary stuff. No,
but did you not create a show?
No. So I mean that happened in the past couple of years, but the first 8 years of my career, I was just focused on like going out for auditions and stuff.
Okay, well, in a three bullet points moment here, so what happens is when you become a writer or a creative or a producer or whatever, you then go on what they call the water bottle tour. And so it's kind of like you go and you basically meet everyone in your network that you can meet. Then you just go and you go in and you have a bottle of water or a coffee and you sit down and you just kind of see if you can connect to them on a human level. Because I think you had a good allusion to the consulting world.
Right. Yeah. No, I mean, it's in the consulting world. So there's multiple parts of your interview. There's like a case study where you do like kind of like mathy type stuff to show that how you critically think. But then there's also the airport test where they're kind of like just shooting the shit with you and like asking you just like questions about like what are you interested in, blah blah blah. And that is called the airport test, and that's important in consulting because usually when you're consulting, you're on projects and you're traveling and you're going on long trips with these people, and they want to know if you are someone who's like an actual human being that they can relate with while they're maybe delayed at an airport for like 5-6 hours or something, or going to these trips. Like, you're gonna be together a long time, so they want to know if you're like a cool person.
Yeah. So I mean, like, basically, like, your job in general is to like show like, because if you're going and meeting someone, like, chances are you've sent them a script, you've sent them, like they've seen something of yours online, and so like you have something to talk about. So like they already know your work, they already know whether or not like you're talented or not. So it's like when you're going in though, it's all about the vibe, and I think it kind of catches up a lot of creatives, a lot of writers, because a lot of writers, we happen to be kind of like introverted or like like I'm articulate in my real life, and so that's why I like to write on the page. But it's just like knowing that like you can talk about yourself, like sell yourself in 30 seconds is like one of the most important skills.
That's something I've been kind of like honing over the year of taking all these generals and being like, oh, this is what works, this is what kind of like, so I kind of like have built that subconsciously of like, oh, I'm gonna leave that out, but I'm still kind of learning. I'm not the best person at like pitching myself, because sometimes I catch myself talking too much. And like
it's because it's super important, because it's just like, how do you listen, how do you like, are you making eye contact, like are you like sweaty or nervous? Like I went into this general like this week, and like, oh god, I didn't even know, but and I usually I love generals. I love going in and meeting people because I like talking to people. But they started talking about sports, and like it just really threw me, because usually like I'm really good at talking with. I like love talking with women because like straight men
I should have given you a primer.
And should be dead. And they're like, and like they like asked me about sports, and I was just like,
did they ask about the Lakers and LeBron or whatever?
No, because I could have even talked about that. They were asking about football, and I was just like,
I wouldn't. Yeah, I don't.
I was literally like,
that much.
oh, like I had no.
Well, you know about the Colin Kaepernick thing, right?
Well, but I mean, like, they were legitimately asking, like, this specific person from the Browns.
Oh, like, Cleveland.
And, like, and I was just, like, because they were trying to connect to me, and so it's like, how do you...
All you have to know is that the Browns are terrible.
Exactly, that's what I mean, but how dare you? Like, I'm from Cleveland. Don't do that. No, but I mean, it's that thing of, like, even if you're not able to connect on that, how do you still, like, connect with that person? Because I was just like... I was like, ooh, I was looking like, luckily the other exec was like, come on, sports. And I was just like, yeah,
you gotta throw a judo move in
yeah,
there.
exactly.
Yeah, like humor.
Yeah, you
Use
gotta
humor to
kind of
deflect or something.
Yeah. Like just, and like, how do you continue to like, how do you really examine your own personality and be like, how do people perceive me in the room? Because I think perception is so important. And
it's so crazy too, though, because like I was talking to my other writer friend, and he was saying like there's different levels of like how, like a general meeting, whatever. Like he said that if you're meeting with an agency, for example, it's different if you meet in their office or if they meet you at a coffee shop nearby or something like that. That like it's like different levels of their interests or whatever. And I was like, oh man, there's like a whole system and culture.
I mean, like,
to this thing.
yeah, that all sounds that. I mean, that's if y'all get in there, then it's just like you just deal with it. But I mean, like,
I think it is just a good idea to filter out that noise and just kind of like think about like, I think when you're going into the biggest thing you should do is figure out what they are interested in, figure out what they want, and try to kind of like cater your message and like what you think you can deliver to them in that sort of way.
And like do your research. If you like are like, oh, I'm meeting with this person at this company, then like look them up on LinkedIn and look
IMDb
where else they've
Pro,
worked. Exactly. IMDb Pro. And like don't never go in blind, you know, like, and like when in doubt, like talk less, you know, it's like
that's something I need to learn, because I feel like because I get so nervous, I'm just like rambling on sometimes, and
or like ask questions, be like, what was your journey to get to where you are, you know, because like people love talking about themselves. You know,
I found that's like, very effective. Being like, hey, so what was your story? How did you get into entertainment? Like what kind of stories or what kind of movies do you like? Or you know, even that, I feel like it's a good way to kind of just break the ice, just be like, because we are all in this industry because we love stories, right? Like, and it's just like, what stories do you love, you know, like, and that's like a good jumping off point, and finding a commonality in that quickly is like, okay, now we can jump off and talk about how we can create similar types of stories or whatever.
Yes. Great. So now we know what a general is. Congratulations, America.